Hello and welcome to episode 17 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough here in cycle 26, day 27. 5.5 days left in this bad tide. Last episode we did a lot of terrain modification and it was a little frustrating. Didn't really do everything exactly correctly, but we still made some good progress, and today we're going to continue that along with, I think, what is going to be probably, depending on what we get in the RNG for the next bad tide or drought, a very important thing for us to do, and that is straighten this out where we have all of our Badwater coming out, so that instead of just, combining like this, the Badwater can just go completely straight out, and then the good water can mix in with that. We'll reclaim a little bit of land, depending on, again, what the RNG ends up being. But we need to keep stacking our terrain here. And what I did before I recorded this episode is I went into my testing world and I stacked up just as much as I could of this pattern here with all of these pylons and everything. And based on a couple of really helpful comments and a little bit of my own testing, I do think it's going to be best for us to have probably 2 full layers of trees, including all of these. Come on, let me click on the berries. Including some blueberries and some coffee. And got a really helpful comment on the last episode. I'm going to flash up on the screen now. Basically doing a whole lot of math for us, and if this is all correct, then I think we're going to be in better shape than I thought we could be going into the 1,000 beaver part of this whole challenge in terms of stuff we have to plant. It's like, what, 6,000 tiles-ish? Like 5,700, 5,800 plus 10% possibly for error calculation. That's all the tiles we have to plant if we're going to have everything, minus what we've already discussed we're not going to do with the hydroponic gardens. I think we can do it. It's just a matter of how long it's going to take. But yeah, two layers of trees-ish, probably 2.5 layers of crops. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, let's just keep this paused. Obviously they cannot build this, but this one layer has 3 spaces high of a gap, and then you have the bottom of the next layer. So this is all the same height here. This next layer, we'd end up looking more or less like that. So this would be entirely trees, berries, and coffee beans. Same up here. And then on top of that, we could go a 2 high gap because our crops that we have to plant, corn and eggplant, of course it's not going to show up, but the soybeans are tall, the corn is tall, eggplant is not tall, but for the sake of what we're trying to do, I think everything that needs to be 2 blocks tall might fit on 1 layer, which is what this next layer would be here. And then on top of that, we would have, just for the sake of, actually having access with 2 ways, which we'll talk a little bit more later, we'll have another 2 high one. Then on top of that, if we really need to have 1 more, we could do the same thing again. And this is all still dirt, mind you. Above that, we have all of this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional dirt layers that we probably won't have to use. Remember, trees, crops, and then you have 6 additional ones on top of that we could either use for a full layer of water storage that is 1 block high, that could have mangrove trees in there. I believe the math for that was about 1,100, maybe 1,200 mature trees to get all the fruits from. I don't know if we want to do that necessarily. And I also don't think all those trees would fit on 1 layer, depending on how you want to do stuff. Because remember, 10 by 10 is 100, and this is a 50 by 50. So there's also other stuff that's going to have to be in the way on different parts and edges of the map. Like, you can't move this, you can't move this, and you can't move this. So realistically, in terms of farmable area, you're really only looking up to about right here. And then about right here. So it's not quite 50 by 50 conservatively. It's 40 by 40-ish. But it's going to be a little bit more than that. But just to give you an idea what we're working with, we do have some extra headroom. And then on top of that, to get to the height limit, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's it. 11 high worth of levees or other structures. This has to include wonders. So remember, the Earth Repopulator does have a cap on how high it can be placed based on height restrictions, and I want to say it's probably right about here. Cannot be built at that height, cannot be built at that... Okay, it actually tells us. Okay, so this... Oh, come on, let me just mouse this right here. Come on, there we go. So this, whatever height this is, that is basically where the highest that can be built is. And I guess it looks like... Yep, that first block of actual levee terrain. We kind of ran into this in the Folktales playthrough as well, but I couldn't remember exactly what the height of that was. So, at some point, if we're going to have an Earth Repopulator, it does have to be on top of this levee, which is the very lowest, or above the very highest dirt we can place. So, that's about what we're looking at. One spot in the middle of the map that is at least 7 by 7, 8 by 8, whatever. It does have to be cleared out height-wise for this thing to be in there. Everything else, not so much. So, people did ask me to clarify exactly what our layers are going to look like. That's currently what my plan is. Obviously, stuff can change as things grow and evolve, and that is just how it goes. But let's just go ahead and get rid of that, because I don't want to have to worry about that. Get through here. Once again, unpause everything. But yeah, that's about where we're at. Stuff can get reconfigured, so on and so forth, but that's something we do have to keep in mind. Regarding irrigation, this irrigation pond right here, I'll just go ahead and triple speed this. This irrigation pond right here is not really in the perfect spot. I did some testing, and if we have 10 from the end to the edge of the map, rather, 10 blank spaces, and then we have a 3x3, kind of like this, but as long as it's 10 here and 10 here, it will irrigate every tile along the edge of the map except for this very corner right here, which is fine because that is a pillar. So we will end up moving this as we continue building upwards. This is, once again, a very slow process, but that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to put one here. However far over we get this way, I'm going to do the same thing. But the reach from the irrigation point is 15 tiles in a straight line. Obviously, the radius changes that as you go around. Well, as you go around the radius of the circle. It technically doesn't change, but because we're on a block system, it kind of does. It makes sense in my head, all right? But I'm going to have one of those here, probably one of those here, one of those here, one of those here is what we're probably going to have to work with. Also, regarding all of the flooding, or not flooding, the irrigation, contamination, whatever, from this thing, a lot of good, helpful comments on that. But remember, what we're doing here is we're blasting this all the way out, and then I'm going to, well, I didn't say I was going to do this, but I'm going to encircle this with platforms so we can still walk on it, but it'll be completely physically decoupled, and then at the very, very bottom, once this gets blown up very shortly, we'll end up putting in our irrigation barriers, so this can't irrigate anything down here at all. It'll all be manually irrigated. I think having 4 of these pools is going to be fine. We'll see. That may change depending on how things are going to be looking about mangrove fruit growing. We may end up having to have a thing where these still have fluid dumps that are set to close at a certain depth, but they have sluices to let the actual water coming out of here into there, depending on if we have a full layer of water. I really kind of don't want to do that because it's going to evaporate a lot, but we're going to have to see. So hopefully that satisfies the questions you guys had about that. Like I said, today is going to be a whole lot of continuing to try and optimize things. It's going to be messy, but that's the way she goes. I ended last episode with talking about putting foresters and stuff in the middle, utility chases, etc. It's still a mess down here, but since we can now see everything underneath, these 4 blocks here are the very center of this map. If we're going to have foresters, or a forester or whatever, down here, it has to have vertical clearance, which does mean we have to blast all of this out. That's going to require us to put in a couple of other things like support columns, so on and so forth, whatever. I'm not really that concerned about removing all of this, just because we have all of this other terrain here currently. But I think what's going to make sense, now that we've marked this, is to go ahead and just detonate all of this right around here, all the way down, and just come back in with a completely blank slate, rebuild supports as necessary, and just go from there. This is obviously currently in use, and that's going to cause problems if we don't have other stuff figured out, but get rid of that path. That's why that piece of land couldn't get put in there. A couple of you did catch on to that. Yeah, but that's not going to get us quite all the way down. We'll have to do a little bit of trimming, but it is what it is. These pumps here, our water storage is full. I'm just going to start getting rid of these because we don't need to have these here. We do have connectivity over here. It is a little bit of a long trip, but it does work. It is fully connected around everything, so we will just have to deal with it. Again, we're fine. If I can click on this, thank you. Just get that out of there. Get that out of there as well. This did not need to have anything blown up on it. That was my mistake. But we'll get that popped in there. And I will go ahead and get that out as well. Just let them put all this in. We'll set it off, and then everything's good to go. But guess what we also have over here? Is we have all of these double dynamites. I'm going to wait to blow these up until the bad tide has ended. But I haven't forgot about them. Don't worry. Alright, nobody walk through here, okay? Do me a solid. Good. Nobody walk through here, okay? Alright, so we did lose a little bit more land, but we did, know that was going to be happening. Let's just get that out. And then once this is gone, primary goal with this is, of course, to open up the ceiling enough for me to put a forester in here and see what the range is. Secondary goal being we can see just how big this central core area needs to be. So, getting the rest of this popped in here should not be a terrible endeavor. They can reach all of this, we just have to let them do it. And we can move on from there. I know there's still other stuff that has to get fixed. Trust me, it's gonna happen. I just have to let it be. All right. So, with that gone, let's go back into single speed. And now I'm gonna take a forester right here in the middle. This, depending on which way you face it, actually reaches a little bit more than I thought it would. That's good to see. But it doesn't quite reach everything that I wanted it to reach. And I think once we get rid of these other columns and extraneous pieces of land in here, it probably will reach everything that I need it to reach long-term for planting trees. But it's not going to reach all of the spaces I want to do for berries. Remember what we did here is I have 5 deep here on blueberries. We also need to start growing coffee. The number given for coffee in that comment was 770 crops to keep 1,000 beavers energized. So 770 crops, that's 77 by 10. This is by 5, so it's 144 rows of 5. Feel free to check my math. That's a lot of that's a lot of around the perimeter there. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot, and I'm probably realistically going to have coffee around the entire perimeter of, well, judging by how this is going, entire perimeter of 1.5 levels. The berries aren't going to be that big of a deal because we can probably front load all of those advanced breeding pods and just pop them out all at once to get to 1,000. But I do kind of want to organically grow this if we can make that happen. I know it's a little bit of a pipe dream to a certain extent for organic stuff. But what I would like to do now is come back over here and do our best to get this entire thing completely ready to go. If I go ahead and delete all of this, it is going to take away some of these other buildings on top. So we are going to have to, I think, yeah, because this has, underneath it, it has a whatever. Well, it's not going to matter. This has a platform there that can be gone, and it has to be replaced with dirt. Then we can rebuild that. I probably don't want to, but if we come back here with this on, it's not going to take up any more land. No more land's going to go away. Just nice and consistent there. And this can all be turned into double dynamite. Get that taken care of. Get that path out of here. And this right here only has to exist here. I know that probably doesn't make any sense. This bit goes away. These can definitely go away. So this can be... Nope, that's the wrong button. Good job. That can be excavated. For the sake of, you know, just ease doing this, that can also go away. That's good. All of this is, you know, not necessary. We can get rid of that. And it's only planks, so that means that's fine. We can go ahead and put our double dynamite on here. They do have to have a way to get up there, so that will be a project we have to work on. And then, remember, in the middle here, we have to figure out what our supports are going to look like, and I would like to have some sort of irrigation as well, but that is the size of it, where we are now. Remember, we are keeping this pylon. Yeah, actually, so I don't need to get rid of that one. I just need to have that out of the way. I thought I had that correct, but I was incorrect. This one goes away. This one stays. So that can go in there. We do have to have ladders to get up here. Although I think from where we are now, it probably makes the most sense to just put in double platforms to access that, and then the same thing over here. It's all planks. We have a ton of planks. It's not going to be an issue. Just have to have access to all this stuff. Give them a path. I know I just had this completely disconnected, but... Ah, that is inaccessible. Okay, well... that will help solve that problem. Oh, I know. It's so ugly. Life goes on. This is a mess once again. But now, we're just about at the point where this bad tide is over, and then we can detonate down here, come in and put our irrigation barriers in, and that should help solve a lot of stuff. I know we have homeless beavers. This, I kind of don't want to put these back in here. Going to have different locations. I'm, for right now, just going to put in 2 of these right here, just because that's the space where it's going to be possible. Let's just make sure there's no beavers in here. Let's hit B for boom. Cool. So, like we said, irrigation barriers all the way around the outside. That will solve a lot of problems. It won't solve all of the problems because this is still connected up here, but it is the start. That's what we're going to be working with. They can't get to it, obviously, but it is there, and we will manage to make that work in due time. So now I've got extra space there. If we're going to start stacking more of this stuff, we do need to start getting rid of more of these barracks, but that is not what I'm going to choose to spend all of my energy on today. Just trying to do the best that we can with what we have. Get this out of here. Put our double dynamite in there. These are all ready to go, so we'll hit B for boom. That's looking good there. Get those out. Things are looking a lot better, folks. A lot better. So we'll get that placed. We will get that placed. This does not need to be here. Get that placed. And then, now that we have, you know, access into the core over here, we can start thinking about the next steps with all of that. Because remember, we still haven't unlocked Two Boys. And that is going to be a huge, huge part of what we're doing next. Just got to do what we are going to do. Get those out of there. Nobody step on this, okay? Please, do me a favor. Got one more of this. Just pop that in there. Then we can detonate that. We do have this ladder here that will still maintain access. Just got to keep these guys from walking on the explosives. Very good. So, that has solved not all, but most of our problems. We do have water in here, which is interesting. How did that happen? I thought I'd solved this. I guess it's just splashing, yeah. We did have a brief breaching incident here in the time-lapse last episode a couple of you caught. But there shouldn't be any reason to be concerned about this now. Alright, we do have berries coming in here. I don't remember if there's a gather flag over here. Let's check. There is no gather flag whatsoever. Okay, so bare minimum standard is going to be to have 1, and that can reach all of this that is currently planted, so that's okay. We still have 1100 in here. I guess that's fine, is what it is. Now we have to think about what we're doing with all of this mess. We don't need to have these inventors anymore. Like, we have 16,000 science. We've already researched, I mean, not everything, but a lot of the stuff that we need to have is researched, minus, you know, all of these monuments and things. But we have this guy going. Not at 100%, but it's going forever. Not going to stop. So I do think it is time to start thinking about just blasting this down. I'm not going to bother using tunnels for all this. I'm just going to clear cut it. It doesn't seem like it's worth the time to try and engineer all this. So the hauling post is going to have to move somewhere else. Right now this is not irrigated, so this just makes the most sense to me to put it here, just so everything can be a little bit more condensed. I'm hoping they can build that pretty quickly, get that taken care of. And then, of course, we have all of these construction materials from building the reservoir here, which is going to stay. I'm not going to mess with the reservoir for a while, but there is going to come a time where we have to redo this, depending on how we want stuff to go. And that's something I'm still going to need to figure out, but it is what it is. So now the really fun part is keeping this as, you know, together as possible without it being a tremendous pain in the butt. These industrial piles need to go somewhere else. And I guess for right now, probably the only real option we have is to just put in everything here. Also because this is a lot closer to what we're working on. This can just go up more or less infinitely. First, let's set these to empty. Empty from logs, empty from logs, empty from dirt, empty from planks. And I know we don't have a whole lot of storage for everything else here, but if we just have one for planks at the bottom, one for logs, I guess it doesn't really matter where, but just get all of that put in as best as we can. I guess that probably needs to be logs as well. Just get these completely emptied. They'll do that, and then we can really start taking stuff out here. Now, against the edge of the map, I'm gonna leave this entire quadrant alone here, but starting right about here is going to be where this is going to have to disappear. Just going to go there, and then again I will leave this alone until we get to about here. That can be filled back in. I guess they're really taking their sweet time. I guess I should have prioritized. But that is the goal, to get this whole thing taken completely down, where it's not touching anything else, and that should solve a lot of problems. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Okay, we still have some space in here to get this out. I guess the dirt was probably a waste of time. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's done. That's draining. These planks are not going to go anywhere. Remember, I do have to redo all of this too. It's just so much that has to be continuously moved. I told you guys. I told you that's what this is going to be. But let's just make this planks just so we can get everything off the top here and not have to worry about it. No weeping, no gnashing of teeth, etc. This can easily be filled back in, so I can blast behind it. That will go there. I will keep this connection here just so we can, you know, maintain access to this. This is a very useful thing to have. But you know as well as I do, these things just take time, folks. Man, these planks are still in here? Okay. Come and get these things. Come and get them. I gotta have them off the top of this. And the dirt is, I guess, a dirting. All right, we need more. We need more haulers. Yeah, let's just. Oh, this one only has 5 beavers working in it anyway. Okay, that's almost empty. That still has a ton of stuff in it. Remember, I'm leaving that there. It should be fine. Just for the sake of, you know, looking nice, I will put a little bit more in here. And that should be alright. Alright, I'm about I'm about done here. I'm about lost my patience for them getting this stuff out. I try to throw you guys a bone to stop leaving stuff on the ground, but it is what it is. There's only so much time I can, you know, spend sitting here. So we'll just pop all this out. They'll come get it eventually anyway. Not that big of a deal. And all of this entire thing up here gets tripled. This gets doubled. That gets removed. This also gets removed. That's a double. That's a double. That's a single. That's a double. That's a single. That's a single. I am going to have to take all these stairs out. So everything gets blasted down to the same level, so it's a lot easier to get to. You know the drill. We've done this a billion times before in all of our other playthroughs. Just got to let them do it. We have 1,200 dynamite. We have a whole bunch of extract. Everything is looking pretty okay. Still have extra beavers. Oh, they haven't built this yet. Okay. I was about to say, that'll take care of those 9 unemployed ones. And there's still trees that haven't been cut down that I said needed to get cut down, and so on and so forth. But now it is 15-day drought time, which gives us an opportunity, should we choose it, to go ahead and completely get rid of this and move everything out this way. We can always turn off the Badwater discharge. That's not a problem. We have water storage that is, for all intents and purposes, we'll call it full. But we will need to, if we are going to actually drain this, go ahead and hit close. So nothing else can come out. Just keep this in here. And then we'll just let these guys keep pumping until that goes away. It shouldn't take that long. Just gotta let these guys finish putting all of these explosives in. I think we have... Yeah, we got a pretty good amount of builders. It shouldn't take them a long time. Where are we... Why are we going all the way around here? Why are we... Oh, okay. To reach that? Why would you take that route when you can just go up these stairs and go... Okay, well... Sometimes people have maybe not great reasons, but reasons that make sense to them at least, for doing things that don't make sense to the rest of us. So, I don't know, listen, learn, etc. But, I don't know. It might not make any sense still. But we will take a look closer toward the end of the drought to maybe correct some of this. And maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe I'm just wrong. Who knows? It is what it is. We also will need to keep in mind that these sluices right here are currently the only exit the water has from the reservoir, and we're going to want to be careful how we mess with this, because it could end up being quite a pain in the butt, depending on how we want to have pumping. I think it's going to make more sense, as we redo all of this, to move pumping closer to the top up here. That is going to be a little bit annoying to get pumps in here. We got plenty of time to think about it. We have 80 beavers. We have 5,600 water. That's not going to be a tremendous issue. So now we just have to come in here with the rest of our dynamite, play cleanup on what needs to be dealt with here. I know I see this one right there. Not going to be that big of a deal because it's just a single height that can be dealt with. But just as soon as that gets taken care of, we can do the rest of this. So on and so forth. It's these doubles and the triples. You have to make sure everything's in place before you set it all off at once, or you're going to have to build scaffolding to get back into it, and I don't think anybody wants anything to do with that. You're going to climb all the way up here just to set this one down. Oh, you didn't even finish, man. Come on. All right, there you go. So I'm going to set these off first, just because that's easiest to set those off as well. And then we come up here with a double. And just as soon as that's done, this staircase can go away, and then they can just finish the rest of this, not going to be a problem. And then these 2 stairs right here will get us right back up to this same level. We won't have to worry about that either. Super convenient. Oh, they've already pumped this completely dry? Is that what we're at here? Okay, all right. I don't have any need for more logs, so these do have fruits on them. They do not have anything being harvested, so let's give them a chance to get this picked up. I do have some unemployed beavers, so 2 gatherer flags should make kind of quick work of it. Get those fruits out. We'll take these trees out. We don't need them. Not going to be that big of a deal. So that's all blasted out. That means this can disappear, which means that can get turned into a double. And then as soon as that's done, actually we can go ahead and set this off now. Beautiful. Again, that is staying there because that is the entire thing supported by this one thing. If I were to remove that, then this entire half goes away, and I don't want to deal with that right now, so that's fine. Beaver boom. Those can already be beaver boomed. This just needs a single dynamite there, and then this entire thing can go all the way down, regardless of whether or not it's going to be pillars. I'm not playing that game right now. We'll have to get to it when we get to it for building the rest of the way, but actually, I lied. I lied. I'm very susceptible to this kind of nonsense being annoying. So that would be 1, 2. That would have to be there. That would have to be there. Yeah, I know. I said I wasn't going to do it, and then I did it anyway. They can't reach it now, but we will get there when we get there. That's going to be a 7. The rest of this, probably not, but we said 2 layers for trees, and then I have to have a 2 tall here, which means that is going to go there. That is going to go here. We'll fill in the rest as we get there, but actually I did that incorrectly. Hold on. So that's 3. That's going to be the bottom. So this, you know what? I'm not going to drag all this other dynamite and stuff in here. I'll just have both of these layers go. Why can I not? There we go. Why is the game paused? That will be the easiest way for us to take care of this. So, now recognizing what I have done and what I have just said I wasn't going to do being actually what I'm going to do, I guess I can just continue the process of separating all of this out. Just follow what we are supposed to be doing here. I know it's complicated. It really is. But we're going to be okay. Okay, it's so hard to see where this is going to be. Is it 3? How do you not know? You came up with this idea. I mean, technically, you want to be really, really technical about it. So that would go there. This would be out. I'm like 90% sure that's correct. Beep boom. Take that out. They can work on the rest of this. Just afraid of making a really terrible mistake here. When have I not been, right? So if we just flash this back here, that is not where that piece goes at all. What am I? Okay, that one's right. Oh, okay. Duh. It's got to have a 5. It goes here. That's where it goes. And then that is another one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That. Oh, please tell me this is actually supposed to be a pile. Oh, it is. Absolutely perfect. See? I can make mistakes that make sense. Sometimes. So that should, assuming I've done this correctly, that should be all the patterns we need to actually preserve. Just let them pop that in. I don't think they can reach all of this. No, so let's give them a path. That one doesn't need to, there we go. Alright, so we can leave that alone. Did they grab all the stuff? They did. Let's just say goodbye to all of these trees. We don't need to cut them down. Not a big deal. Get rid of that. Kohlrabi, you don't need it there. No one can harvest it anyway. They can come get that. Get that out of there. Go ahead and get these out as well. And then this will open this up to all sorts of other fun. And we will need to do something else for pumping. But that shouldn't be too terribly hard. And we also have 5,000 water here. So that's fine. This is done here. Production-wise, I think for what we're attempting to do now is probably fine for us to start rerouting here. At the very minimum, I do want to have this come straight across. We probably, if we really wanted to, could expand this to generate more power, but I'm gonna leave that option available, I think, for some other time. We could have this continue going this way, but that's going to take more engineering than I can do live in an episode, so I will put it off for some point in the future. Come back all the way down here. They can't build this yet, obviously. We don't have access to it. These trees are not marked for cutting. Not that we need them anyway, but that's fine. Like I said, I'm going to keep this outer bit mostly for, what are these things called? Bushes. We talked about the coffee before. So if I have 5 in between here, then that would be all of this entire thing here. That would be, you can't see because it's blocked by the trees, but that would be 5. We'd have to have a path here going around like so to be accessible. I think that's what I'm going to want to do. I'm not entirely sure. Again, like just doing this not from scratch where you have to carve out the mountains and everything is perhaps a lot more challenging than you might think, especially for someone who's not very good at math. But we're doing our best. We're making it happen. Now, before we get too far, I do want to put in pumps. Remember, the Iron Teeth have a depth of 6 on their pumps that I think is going to be totally fine for us to be working with here. I've got space here to kind of not quite double stack these in this formation. I could kind of offset them a tiny bit, but that's just going to be kind of a mess. So if we are absolutely certain what height we're going to be keeping this at, I think this is all probably fine for right now. Then we can come up with ladders all the way up here, just because this is already in this spot. I will drag this up the side of the wall. And then we're going to have to build a structure in here upon which to place pumps, which I do not think is going to be very hard. We just have to, you know, make it happen. So if we start with that, then we come up here. Pumps can sit on either side of one of these things. Remember, we only had 8 pumps to begin with. These can definitely go away. So I don't think we're going to need any more than that, but I'm going to go ahead and build out. Let's see how we'll fit here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4 fits perfectly fine. That'll actually work. So I will need to have a 5 wide space here. It'll have to go 8 deep. So what is probably going to make the most sense is for us to unlock the 5x5 metal platform just for that purpose, and then I will have to fill in something else, but that's what we can work with. So the center of this will be 6 here. If I put that here, then I can put that, oh come on, I can put that here. Then that's going to allow me to access this area here. Might actually have to be one more level down. I know they don't currently have access to get up here anyway. We're going to fix that, don't worry. Just trying to do this with the least amount of stupidity possible. What did I say? That had to be a 5, yeah. Then that's going to have to go there, and then that, well, okay, they're not going to be able to reach that very, nope, that's also wrong. I just know I have to have that offset there. Okay, put that 5x5 in. That is the correct maximum height. And then here is where this has to have the weird stack kind of things going on. So that's going to go there. That's going to go there. Then these can go here. And that is just what it is. So that will connect to the top there. And then we can do the same thing elsewhere, but this will give us all of our water pumps that we are attempting to have over here. And that's going to allow us to pump a pretty decent amount and also not have to worry about entangling any of this mess. It's also not going to be fast enough to require not having this open, but we will get there. It will just take some time, but we will get there. They should, assuming I've managed to quote-unquote engineer this correctly, they should be able to build all of this without any additional scaffolding because of what is reachable where. The only thing that might cause problems is having this one platform in place here. So we may end up having to address that when the time comes. I may have to take this platform off. Let's actually... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. So let's have this removed, and in place of that, temporarily put in a bridge here so they can build that. And then we should be able to leave this unattended. Let them take care of that. Is this ready to go? It is. Let's B for boom. Okay. So now we have that, at the very least, taken care of, ready to go. Remember that this is tree layer 1, tree layer 2 plus blasting down. This is crop layer 1. This would be crop layer 2. If we want to build above that, we can. But I'm not going to, require that we do that. This will never be needed again. That won't be needed again. That. This actually just disconnected this area, so that might not have been a tremendously smart choice. But tell you what, let's think about this logically here. Take this out. Take that out. This is right here, level we're trying to get down. So let's blast this out. We're gonna work on this too in a little bit. Don't worry. Just I gotta get this bit out of my system first. So this level we're trying to preserve. The tunnels are going to have to be added on, well, after this is taken care of on that level. So that will get us here, as access to all of this. Remember, we have to keep this completely separated here. Yeah, I'm not going to dedicate too much more time to this right now. I just want to make sure that got started, and then this can also get to work there. So, just so no more time goes by while I'm thinking about this, here's what we're going to have to do. Again, tons of food. We have enough industrial resources to build the rest of this. It is not going to be impacted if I remove these buildings. We have food storage that is going to have to go somewhere else, but we have that over here, and it will be moved many, many, many more times after this. So, not an issue. I just want this to go straight out, and I want to reroute this. We may end up actually putting overflow, just not have any of this irrigation sluice or whatever period point blank down here. Just keep this closed for the time being. Might just move the overflow here on top of the thing. I know, very scientific terminology. And then either go right off the map, which would be a waste, or have some more power wheels, water wheels in the whatever you want to call that there. But to come straight out here, assuming this is only going to ever be outflow from this, we can just go straight out. It doesn't even have to be at the very bottom level either, just because of how this has been set up. Again, we're probably going to completely rip all of this out at some point anyway. But the easiest thing to do is going to be to just raise everything over here. Raise as in R-A-Z-E, not R-A-I-S-E. God, I hope I spell things right when I say this. So this is going to be a very simple demolition of just these buildings here. No other crossfire. So all we're losing is an engine, a gear workshop, a little bit of storage, and then whatever's on top of this. I think it's those, yeah, these things here. So if that's gone, this is technically cut off. But all we have to do is keep this single file thing here. Again, going off the basis that we're not going to have this be the overflow anymore. We're going to leave this for the time being because we basically ran out of time. But I'm going to have this just go straight off the edge of the map. They can still, grab most of this. But what I can do in this channel here is I can put additional water wheels without stacking anything. I can just put additional ones going all the way off the edge of the map. Kind of like what we did here. So, nobody step on this. Oh, they're tempted. They're tempted. I know they're tempted. Stop it. Stop it. It's time to go to sleep. I'm going to set this off, and if you get exploded, it's your fault. Alright, good. So now that comes through there. This is going to be a tremendous opportunity for us to just plop, 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 plop. Ah, that's not going to fit. Why is it not going to fit? Oh, there's a path. Okay. Well, that can go away anyway. So that's going to be 4 more of these. We can fill this in. Again, all of this just needed to be removed anyway. Is this platforms? It is. Okay. This is still Badwater pumping, so that's fine. What is all this on anyway? That is completely... Okay, so if I put terrain here, that will stop it from going this way, and then that can be clean water only, which will also help us out. Just a touch. So let's do that. Let's get those to be clean. We can... Oh, I have my finger on the wrong button. We can extend this, depending on how we want to build this here, with a metal overhang. Ah, we can't. I was incorrect. Well, you know, that's kind of why I have this set up this way. I'm going to let him build this, and then I think we can have just a power shaft connecting these right here, and it should be okay. Again, food-wise, we're totally fine. We're already massively overproducing. Just got to get these hooked back up together. Yeah, the space on the outside here might actually be something to think about. Well, I certainly I certainly did not have this set up correctly. Single speed. Zoomed out far enough where I don't have to hear those sounds, so that is supremely irritating. Let's see, double there. Overhang there. That'll get them across. All we have to do... Remember, this is all temporary. Don't forget. Don't forget, it's all temporary. This is just a... It's a bridge solution. But if I can get these hooked together on one side, then all I have to do to get over here is just hook that way, and then that will power everything else here. This obviously is not connected to anything but what's going on over here. I think it's probably... No, these are separate, because that's not connected there. Well, this will help solve all of those problems. This will be... I know it's ugly. Trust me, I understand. This will solve those problems. Just going to take some time, and I don't think they can actually get over here to work on this. Yeah, we're going to have to switch these around. This is going to have to be the double plus the overhang. And that can just be a single. That's going to make it so they can actually build this without me intervening. Now, how are we looking? How are we looking over here? Okay, B for boom. Then all of this needs to be B for boomed. This is a platform. That's a staircase that can go away. And this will get us into the side here. Or close enough at the very least. Very, very, very slow progress, but it is still progress, friends. How are we doing up here? What are we working on? We have all the pieces for that? We do. Yeah, metal is going to be kind of the limiting factor for a little bit, because this does take a long time to make stuff, but we should be able to still make some pretty good stuff out of this once we get everything completely fixed. That connected there, yep, should get everything else ready to go. This connected here will get all that, and we can move on. Yeah, so this space out here, I unplanted, but they haven't harvested yet because we haven't needed all the wood. I'm honestly kind of tempted to just have them clear cut these trees because we're really not going to need it. Not for a long time. And we're about to have another temperate cycle, which means we could have a bad tide very soon, so that probably should be dealt with. But it's not going to make a difference anyway because this is still connected up here. Oh boy. So much fun. So much fun. We can actually decouple this pillar from here if we have the courage. Let's actually do that. Because I know this is going to cause so many problems if we don't. Okay, that doesn't need to go there. All we have to do is make sure it doesn't leak out of the bottom, and we can't go underneath here. But if we decouple this pillar, then we can continue blasting down around that like we've done before. I know lots of kind of maybe unnecessarily complex solutions being done here. Just, I ask that you trust the process. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. So that is right there. These can be completely done here. That is another 6. Gets us to that one. And then these can be entirely blasted out. Just so much to think about here. And that is going to be another one of these here. Yeah. It just makes more sense mentally for me to do it this way. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more, folks. So that'll be 5 there. Alright. I'm like 99% sure that's correct, so I'm going to let them, you know, do that. We do have our pumps up here. I know we don't have any water storage nearby, but that's what haulers and all that stuff is for. This should now be all connected. I guess I made a... Okay, it's not connected here. That's why. Yeah, there we go. I know we're only making 1,500, but this has opened this space up, and the clean water will go through here. Not a big deal. But now we have an opportunity, depending on how we want to run all of the paths and stuff here. I know this does have to be technically accessible. This isn't accessible. This doesn't... Well, this connects back on this side if we really want to be dumb about it, but... Oh, I said this is all going to get done anyway, and it hasn't quite gotten done, so that's on me. All right. This is ready for the 5x5, though, which means I can now bring all of this back. Get this here. That is now connected to the outside there. Not that this really matters, but that will give us an opportunity to get up back here again. I know it's roundy-roo, so on and so forth, and the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and just pop that here. But there is a plan for all of this. It may not make a whole lot of sense, but I promise you it exists. We're just out here doing our best. That's all I can do. All I can do. Yeah, they are... Oh, come on. They are working on this. I need to get people over here to build these irrigation barriers, I guess is what I was attempting to get at. Yeah, we have so much wood, I'm not going to feel bad about... Not buildings. Not going to feel bad at all about just killing all of these. That should be fine. I know they can't reach all of this, but it is what it is. So this here, because of where we are, this 6 layer here is going to have to get removed. That's where the path is going to be that goes around, which means that also has to go away, and that should help us get over here. I'm going to pretend like this just encircles the entire map, so this will have path here. It's going to make sense when it's done, and I did issue the disclaimer at the very beginning of this that this was going to be a very slow process. It is what it is. At least we have enough medical beds. I think somebody mentioned in a comment they wanted to see us put more of those in, but we haven't filled all the ones we have, so I think we're doing okay. Water very soon, actually just now, getting that taken care of. Boosting our power production just enough. That's looking fine. Again, this is a temporary stopgap measure just to help us start rerouting things. It's not going to be like that forever, but if you take a look at the pollution stuff here, this has substantially reduced the amount that is being removed, or the amount that's being removed, the amount that is polluted down here. Making some good progress. I guess I can't wait for them to take care of the rest of that. But this platform here is probably a little bit more important right now, so I'm going to prioritize that, which means they can then build the rest of this. They're currently trying to do all of this stuff, which, you know, I did ask them to do, but the actual water stuff is a little bit more important than that. So where does that leave us now? As I take a look over at OBS and it says I've been recording for 56 minutes. Well, we have managed, again, straight line exit for Badwater. This is supposed to be removed, but it is, you know, just taking time. I know we've lost some storages for things like canola and all that, but it's going to be okay. We still have 7,400 food. It's all getting modified. Everything is going to be just peachy. But the progress is progressing, even if it is slow, even if it is maybe a little frustrating to watch. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have them finish this, because this is first in line on the higher setting. Then I'm going to have them come in here and take these out. So then, at that point, they can build the irrigation barriers, which, again, currently will not stop all of the bad water from being, well, bad water and contaminating land down here. But it is a step as we work to decouple all of this in due time. But that is going to require some time-lapsing, which I will, I guess, not bother having them show you how this works. We'll just do a couple more things, and then I will get the rest of this going. It's just going to take time, folks. You already know how it is. So, enjoy that, I suppose. I had a couple requests about the time lapses. I absolutely cannot please everybody, so someone's going to, you know, not like how it goes. Sorry, that's just how it is. But I'm going to try not to do too much time-lapsing underneath the credits anymore, because then you can't see what's going on. It's just going to depend on what happens. What we're trying to accomplish, it's very, very situational. So I do appreciate you guys and all your feedback, of course, with all that. We'll go ahead and let them take care of the rest of these trees and a little bit more of the blasting, and then we'll talk about what is going to be next. Alright, so after that time lapse, what have we accomplished? Well, this area here, this entire corner, is excavated on this level. One of the double levels for food farming. There is one below it for tree farming we have not yet gotten to, but I wanted to show you guys what we're doing here. So this is our water source blocks. We can't obviously do anything about those guys, but we can completely decouple them. And what's going to have to happen here is, again, since we cannot do anything with these guys, we can't drag the tunnels or anything into them, the space around them is going to have to be removed. But before I do that, I want to make sure everything is supported correctly, architecturally speaking. We may end up just, you know, tunnelizing this bit here. We'll see what happens. But as we go up, you see right here, this level 15 is where the bad water currently is. We changed this to 14. This is the layer that cannot be disturbed, but layer 13 can. So this is the entire, like, we can get rid of everything underneath here. All of that can go away, and that will physically decouple everything from what is below it. Keep in mind that there has to be a pillar here, but all of this, all of that can go away, and it will not affect what is above it. It's just going to end up being a little bit of a pain in the butt to get to. But like I said, all of this, every last bit of that level, and then that level can all go away. It'll be completely decoupled so that when we come in later and do all the rest of the stuff below, there's still other things. All we're going to have to do just right around here is just remove all of these pieces, or what we could do is we could just irrigation barrier, which is honestly probably the easiest way to do it. But once everything is completely removed from adjacency to this, then everything will be not polluted, and everyone will be singing and laughing and dancing in the streets, etc., so on and so forth, all that garbage. So that's the long-term plan for that, but for now, this is a very good step today to make with that. We have also on the very bottom here completely removed all these trees around the outside. So now here's what's going to happen with that. We talked about the forester being a thing that couldn't reach everywhere quite yet, but putting it in this area can actually reach a lot more than you think. And like I said, I wanted to have coffee around the outside here. So what I'm going to do is this, I guess starting from this side, just going all the way down here. Remember, this is not going to be polluted forever. This is all going to be coffee. I don't think coffee bushes spread organically. I know the berries do, but I wanted to try... That's the wrong building. I want to put this in wherever it's going to give me the most coverage of places I can actually, you know, stick this stuff. So if I put that there, give ourselves... I know this is a very roundabout way of doing this. It's not the most ideal setup, but this forester will be able to actually plant, and some of them already have been, will actually be able to plant here. And once this is all put down, because, you know, we're not cutting anything down, you have to remove these anyway, I'm going to remove the planting from whatever they can't access. And I'm going to see over the next, you know, however many cycles it is before we get back to this, whether or not they spread by themselves. If they do, great. If not, then, well, okay, it doesn't really matter that much. And then the reason why I have this path here, one, we have to be able to access stuff, but two, we haven't gotten into two-boys yet. So my plan is tiny two-boy stations in all of these corners, this corner here, and then we can have on platforms, or if we decide we want to do the overhangs to save planks, but let's be honest, we have so much wood we're not using. I'm just going to have two-boys going all the way through here, and then it'll connect to the forester. The two-boys, as far as I understand, don't increase the range of the forester, but obviously it'll help increase the working speed, and we can use that same thing for the gatherer's flags as well. So that's why this piece in the corner has been removed. This piece will not be planted. Obviously it can't anyway because everything is polluted. But that's my thought process there. We also need to have a range check on gatherer flags, and it looks like for what we are looking at here, the range on these is actually really good. So before this guy finishes putting that in, I might as well decide where exactly I want to have a couple of these guys, because we're going to have so many beavers it's not going to worry about, it's not going to be something to worry about, rather, for labor's sake. It's just what can we make work with whatever space we have. If I put this guy right about here, he can reach all the way into the corner. Obviously it'd have to be this spot, but if we spread it out a little bit, see, like right here on the, we'll call this the inside of this third pillar, you put a gatherer flag there, he can reach basically all of this except this little corner here, and then all we'd have to do is put in on the inside of this pillar. Again, there's a lot of trial and error, folks. I appreciate your patience. But we put that there, we put a two-boy station there, we put a two-boy station there, and then we already have one in the corner here for the trees, so we'd have one here, one here, one here, and one here. That should, you know, everything being in a loop or whatever, that should give us a pretty good accessibility. Obviously, these things here will have to be dealt with. We also need to put in... Yes. We also need to put in lumberjack flags, but those can be probably all in the center bit right here. It's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm not anticipating it to be. So that's what we're working with, if you can understand what I'm putting down here. Everything in due time, folks. Everything in due time. Just have to make sure we have the resources to actually do all this stuff. So I'm going to, we're not going to have anything connected yet, but I'm going to put in a tiny two-way station here, tiny two-way station here, one here in the corner, and one here in this corner, and then we won't actually make use of these this episode yet, because again, I do want to have a two-way focused episode, but just so we're all on the same page. That's what we're working with. This is about all they can actually plant right now because of the irrigation situation. So I'm going to unplant this. Oh, I'm going to unplant this entire thing here. We're going to see if they will spread. And I guess for right now the coffee on this side is going to be fine. And then berries on this side are going to be fine. I'm just going to let them do what they're going to do. I'm not going to worry about berry spreading right now because we have 1,400. We're not consuming that many yet. But that's where we stand, and I think this is going to be a good enough place to stop for today. We do have plenty of water coming out here. Again, this is a very, very fluid thing that is going to take time to get it fluid. It's going to take time to figure out, but I'm satisfied. I hope you are too. I know, you know, this is a kind of a slow-paced thing, and I'm doing my best to advance as much as possible without it feeling like we're speed-running stuff, because the process is still fun. But I do appreciate you very much. Appreciate your comments, especially Beard Boosters and all of their support, making it possible to completely say no to sponsors and just focus on having fun playing the games and not be at the whims of the algorithm quite so much. So authenticity is very important to me. That's why I do the time lapses and not cuts. And if I make a stupid mistake, I keep it in because that's just real. That's how it works. But I do genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, you stay safe, you have fun, and you'll come back and see us again in the next episode of this series on whatever day that ends up being. I don't remember. Thursday? I think. Yeah. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be back with the water beavers doing a little bit of problem solving with them. But I did want to let you know that we do have, potentially, depending on what happens the next couple weeks, maybe a little bit of quote-unquote content interruptions if I'm not going to be able to be at my computer any given day. So I'm going to start mixing in, as that happens, some of those colony reviews that we talked about. I posted a community post last week, so feel free to check that out. It's on the community tab, and there's a link in the Discord. Submit your colony. Folktails, Iron Teeth, Ember Pelts, Water Beavers, whatever. Update 6, Update 7 only, please. But I am going through those and making short videos where we take a look at what you guys have built. Neat things you've made or things you're real proud of, and I think that'll be a fun way to keep things consistent if I'm not able to record 2-3 hours of this every single day as we get into some other parts of the summer. But I like to keep you guys involved, and I think that's a fun way where we can still have something fun to watch, and you guys get to show off a little bit of something cool that you made. And I think that's always going to be a really fun, important thing we can do here. Regardless, I'm out of time, and you're out of time too, because this video is about to end. Again, stay safe, have fun. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.